A child impact report interview is a process by which parents and children, sometimes partners too, to parenting proceedings before the Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia, sit down with an expert to explain what's going on in their parenting matters and what they hope to achieve. You sit down with an expert whose background is not in law like myself. It's not as though you sit down with a judge or a senior judicial registrar, but instead you sit down with someone whose background is in psychology, child psychology, social work, to better understand those important underlying issues that a court may be unable to assess for themselves by simply reading your filed material. A child impact report breaks down into two parts. The first part is a parent interview. The second part is the children's interview. It's typically the case that for children's matters, those interviews are operated for children generally who are 5 years or older, depending on their developmental age. Included in those one-on-one conversations with the court child expert and the child are also a part which the court refers to as child observations, where children, including some that might be younger than the age of 5, are given some time with each of the parents to the proceedings separately, and the court expert is allowed to observe how the child interacts with that parent and vice versa. It's really helpful to the court that this information is gathered. A report is later produced that outlines the court expert's observations. A child impact report consists of observations that are made by the court child expert during each part of the two-stage interview process, but it can also include a series of recommendations made by the court child expert as to how the parenting matter ought to proceed from here, in accordance with that paramount consideration being what arrangements might be in your child's best interests. Keep in mind that court child experts, that they are an important part of the process, are not themselves judges or senior judicial registrars. The recommendations they make are not binding, and they do not have background in law to identify how the Family Law Act and similarly case authorities apply to your scenario. And so please don't assume that the contents of a child impact report will necessarily be the interim or final outcome in your case, but it is a helpful guide for a court at a subsequent interim defended hearing when considering what to do with your children's matter. Some questions I often receive about child impact reports from my clients are, firstly, what's the cost of something like this? You should know that while there are private report writers available who can perform short form, or in another word, child impact reports, it is a resource that is available to parties by the court, but it's not available to everybody. You need to satisfy the court that there is a financial need for you and your ex-partner to receive this court resource. And so it's generally my advice to clients who would likely satisfy that financial threshold is to submit ahead of your court hearing a financial statement to outline your financial capacity and the need for the court to assist in the timely resolution of your case by assisting through the preparation of a child impact report. It's also the case that child impact report interviews, as I've indicated, operate in two stages. The first part, the parents' interviews, are typically conducted online, such as by audio-visual link, Microsoft Teams, and the like. But the second part is almost always conducted in person. That's conducted at the registry that's local to your matter. And so please make the necessary arrangements ahead of time and ask any questions you might have to the court child expert during part 1 so that you can prepare yourself and potentially your children for part 2 effectively. For more information about child impact reports, there are some online resources that can be found at the Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia's website. That's fcfcoa.gov.au. But for more information, feel free to book a consult with myself and the team here at Genuine Legal. We'd be happy to assist you.